One of the
Right.
things I learned in business school is you don't want to create demand, you want to address demand.
All right, we got Mr. Adam Mendler on the show. Adam, thank you so much for giving us some of your precious time and being here on the show today. We are in the Philippines. We are on the second to the last week of the lockdown. I'm not sure if you guys have been locked down over there on the other side of the world. How is the lockdown going there?
Firstly, Sean, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to spend the time with you, with your audience. I'm a big fan of the Philippines. We have had great experience with members of our team who are based in the Philippines. So hope that I can have a good experience today with your listeners, as good an experience as I've had so far with our members
That's
of our team over there.
that's
To
good.
answer your question, and by the way, from what I understand, at least from my communication with our team members in the Philippines, it sounds like the situation isn't as bad over there as it is here. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I don't really like using the word lockdown because things could be worse. We're not technically on lockdown, but we are definitely sheltering in place. We're
Mm-hmm.
not, supposed to really be near other people. There's a rule
Yep.
where you can't be within 6 feet of anyone, and we're all
Yep.
practicing social distancing, and
Yep.
definitely going to be practicing social distancing for the foreseeable future. So you said that you're going to be going back to normal in a week or so.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to be like that for us for a while, but it is what it is, and all you can really do is try to adapt and make the best of the situation that you're in.
Yep, that's good. Well, in our case, I think even if the lockdown was lifted, we might go into another one maybe sometime July or August because of the increasing number of the virus patients still. So it hasn't died down yet. We haven't reached the peak of the curve yet. But since the economy has suffered so much because of the more than a month now, I think it's a month and a half already. I think the government just wanted to lift it and see what would happen,
Yeah.
which might not really be a good thing, but let's see what happens, right? So Adam, you are an entrepreneur, a public speaker, a coach, and a consultant. That is a handful. That is a handful, and so I'm
And
two
now I'm
of
a
those.
podcast guest. I'm a guest on your show, and
Podcast
excited
guest
to be
and a
here.
podcast host as well. So let's take the first one, entrepreneur. So you're the CEO of the Veloz Group, and you have built and operated technology-driven companies. Like, tell us about your entrepreneurial journey. You founded this company what 8 years ago? Like, how did it happen? What's the inspiration behind it?
Yeah, great question, Sean. And it's something that I love talking about. I was 28. I had worked for some really large companies in the financial services space and in the entertainment space. And I felt like I was at the point in my life where if I was ever going to do something entrepreneurial, it was just that right time. My energy was never going to be higher. My expenses were never going to be lower.
Mm-hmm.
It was just that right moment to take the leap. It felt like I had gotten enough corporate experience to really know what it was like to work in corporate America. And I wanted to scratch that entrepreneurial itch. And my brother was working as a software developer. He left his career as a programmer. I left my career, and we started the Veloz Group. We named it after the street we grew up on, which is called Veloz Avenue in Tarzana, California, which is a suburb of Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't looked back.
So it's named after a street where you grew up on. I rarely hear that from founders. It's usually named after their kids themselves, and it's interesting.
I don't
So
have any kids, and I'm not, maybe I don't like myself enough to name it. But you really want to name your company Adam? Adam is too dull of a name. The Veloz Group. There we go.
yeah. I'm sure a lot of people has gotten used to the Veloz Group. So you mentioned you work with your brother. Tell us about that. How's working with family? A lot of
So
people find it difficult to work with family. A lot of people find it that they can't really tell their family members off when they do something strange or incompetent. So, or they're always late. So how do you do it? How did you do it with your brother?
yeah, it definitely has its ups and downs, but on balance, we've found a way to make it work. I think that one of the positives of working with family is that there's a level of familiarity that you have. There's a level of comfort that you have. That's something that's hard to replicate.
Hmm.
You mentioned that it might be hard to tell someone off. I think it's actually easier to do that when it's family because you're sort of past the point of feeling like you need to walk on eggshells around that person. So, on balance, it's worked. Are there challenges? I think that, one of the biggest challenges is that it's always on. As an entrepreneur, you're always on. Business is always on. You're always focused on your business.
Yeah.
And when you're at family gatherings, you're always talking about business. So there isn't really ever a separation
Hmm.
between work and business and family. And, it's just something that comes with the territory. But when you're passionate about what you do and when you're living your passion, it's okay. I mean, it's something that I think that there are worse things than that, but
Yeah.
it's something that anyone thinking about whether to go into business with a family member should definitely consider whether it's for them or not.
I definitely agree with you. So I started SEO Hacker a decade ago with my brother as well, so I could resonate. And he's still working with me. I'm sure your brother is still working with you as well. And when you started Veloz Group, what's the first product or service that you guys went into?
So interestingly enough, the first business that we were successfully able to get off the ground is our biggest business now, which is Beverly Hills Chairs.
Hmm.
So when we first started, we had lots of ideas for lots of businesses, and we started pushing on all of them at once. We had every business idea under the sun, and we spent our first year and a half trying to take each and every one of these ideas and turning them into companies. And after a year and a half of doing that, realizing that we couldn't really do that for much longer because we had burned through all of our savings and we needed to start making money, we started focusing on the two businesses we had that were closest to monetization. One being this office furniture company, Beverly Hills Chairs. The other being a cigar concept, which turned into custom tobacco.
Hmm.
And those are the two businesses that we wound up building into national companies. In the case of Beverly Hills Chairs, an international company. And we started a third company, Veloz Solutions, a couple of years later that was sort of an offshoot of those two. But, like any entrepreneur, I can tell you for every winner, we've had a lot of losers, but it's a matter of being able to focus on what works and, not being really, too set back by your failures.
So I'm interested in what made these two winners and what made them stand out. I mean, Beverly Hills Chairs, they're about office furnitures at deeply discounted pricing. And there's a lot of companies trying to do that. But what makes it special? Let's focus on Beverly Hills Chairs and go to custom tobacco a little later on. What makes Beverly Hills Chairs special? What makes it stand out from the competition? Why did you choose that from your sea of other business ideas?
Yeah, I think in general, and give you the same answer for Beverly Hills Chairs as for custom tobacco. I think it's important to be in a business where you're selling a differentiated product. I was coming from a job where I was selling a highly undifferentiated product. I was working in banking and I was working for a company that had a good reputation, had a good brand, but at the end of the day, it was more or less selling the same service, the same set of products that everyone else was selling. And what I took away from that experience was, as an entrepreneur, I needed to get into a business where I was doing something differentiated, where I was offering something to the market unique. Beverly Hills Chairs does that. So In the United States, the largest office furniture company is a company called Herman Miller. Herman Miller is $1 billion company, and their signature chair is the Herman Miller Aeron chair. The Herman Miller Aeron chair sells for about $1,200 per chair.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yes, it's a lot of money, isn't it?
Yeah, for a chair.
But it's the most popular chair ever made, believe it or not. So even though each chair costs $1,200 per chair, companies really, really want that chair. Big companies, small companies, medium-sized companies in every industry, tech, finance, entertainment, legal, you name it, universities. So our niche, what we did was we came in and identified that we could build out this business catering to customers who want this chair but don't want to pay as much money. So what we do is we sell refurbished Herman Miller chairs and refurbished steel case chairs and other chairs that are also top brands. So customers already have demand for these chairs. One of the things I learned in business school is you don't want to create demand, you want to address demand. So we're addressing the demand that already exists, and we're coming in and doing it in a differentiated way by selling products at a much lower price point. So that same $1,200 chair, brand new, we're selling it for $500 to $600. So that's 50% of what it would cost. That's a big differentiator.
Mm-hmm. It's huge.
So that's something that we're doing different.
So $1,200 for a chair, that sounds so crazy for me right now. But so I've never heard of the brand. I'm all the way from the other side of the world. Forgive my being naive. But so that's actually a brilliant idea to just serve the demand that's out there already. And so I'm wondering, how did you port that idea to custom tobacco? Because you said that it's pretty much the same thing. So what you're telling me is like there's a demand for custom tobacco. Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, with custom tobacco, what was similar was we wanted to do something differentiated. We wanted to get into a business where we were offering a unique product. So if you go online and you punch in custom cigars or customized cigars, or you're an SEO guy, Sean. So we show up number one. Custom tobacco is the number one.
Fantastic.
So we're differentiated, and anyone else that shows up, their platform is nowhere near our platform when it comes to being able to create your own fully customized private label cigars in real time. So that's what I meant when I said that, like Beverly Hills chairs, we were able to offer customers a unique and differentiated product. Now, what was different was we actually got the market wrong. So with Beverly Hills chairs, we really knew our customer. We got our customer right. Our customer with Beverly Hills chairs was small to medium-sized businesses that didn't want to pay full retail and really wanted this chair and were kind of looking for something that could help them save some money. Now with coronavirus, it's kind of evolved into more of the home office crowd because offices are closed and home offices are now being furnished at record numbers. So there's demand for our chairs now in home offices. But for custom tobacco, we initially built that business thinking that our core customer was the hardcore cigar smoker, the guy who loves nothing more than hanging out at the cigar shop or hanging out on his porch or hanging out with his buddies and smoking a cigar. And we sort of had this vision of who would be our target customer, and we could not have been any more wrong. The hardcore cigar smoker actually didn't really like what we were offering at all. Not because our cigars weren't good. Our cigars are great, but because the hardcore cigar smoker is very brand loyal. And what we're offering is an experience. We're offering something unique. We're offering the ability to create your own brand, to create your own custom cigar. Whereas cigar smokers don't really care about that. They have their brand already that they like. What wound up happening was our business, our concept resonated really strongly with two different audiences, which became our core customers, gift givers and event planners. So gift givers were buying gifts for those kinds of people. So if you think about it, if you need a gift for whatever man in your life, whether it's your boyfriend, your husband, your buddy, your boss, your client, think about how hard it is to find the perfect gift for any guy. That's been a big audience for us. And secondarily, events, corporate events, weddings, golf tournaments. I don't know, is golf big in the Philippines?
It
Do
is.
they
It
have,
is big.
yeah, do they have a lot of golf tournaments in the Philippines?
We have a lot, and a
Do
lot of
they
them are
smoke cigars?
fundraisers.
Do they smoke cigars at golf tournaments in the Philippines?
That one I'm not exactly sure. Cigars are not a big deal here, at
Yeah.
least in. So I know a lot of golfers. I don't see them smoking cigars, so maybe not as much here than
Okay.
there. Yeah.
So we sort of stumbled into what wound up becoming our customer base.
So that explains why the website is a little bit on the fuchsia pink side, and
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah, you were building it for your target market, which stood out when you already launched this new platform.
So we actually rebranded it. So the current iteration of the website is by no means the original iteration of the website. I think it's important as an entrepreneur to constantly tweak, to constantly innovate, to constantly figure out and be open-minded to the best changes possible. Because at the end of the day, business is always changing. The marketplace is always changing. And you need to change. You need to stay fresh. You need to stay fluid. You need to adapt. And this is a really good example of it, Sean, because our original website design was catered to that initial target audience that we thought would love our product. It had much more of this old school feel. It actually, when you went to our original design, you felt like you were in a cigar shop. You felt like you were in an old school cigar lounge and like a Beverly Hills cigar lounge. And that isn't who our customer is. Our customer is actually majority female. The majority of our customers don't smoke cigars. The majority of our customers are women who do not smoke cigars, but buy them for men who do, or buy them at events that will help enhance the experience.
That's interesting. So there's a huge lesson there, and that is first try to really build and validate who your target market is. We all have made wrong guesses when it comes to business.